Hey everybody, Dr. Nick here on Feel Good Friday. Today I'm going to show you how I like to make chicken, but also talk a little bit about fat and how to reduce the fat content in an already very lean meat such as chicken. Now fat isn't bad, but fat is the most caloric dense macronutrient. What that means is if you have 1 gram of carbohydrates, 1 gram of protein, and 1 gram of a fat, the fat is going to have the most calories. So I choose to boil my chicken, not for any particular reason, just because it's fast and it allows me to kind of put the chicken in and go do some other things, so I don't have to sit and constantly flip the chicken or watch it in the oven. Just kind of put it in the pot, stir it a little bit, and it's good to go. Always be sure to spray down and clean the surface that you're handling raw meat on, especially chicken. Okay, so how are we going to reduce the fat content in an already lean meat like chicken? Well, let's take a trip down memory lane to science class. Oil and water do not mix. So the classic experiment where you put oil and water in a test tube and you watch them separate is the concept that we're dealing with here. So oil is fat. So when you put oil or any kind of fat mixed with water, the oil and the fat are going to rise to the surface and it's going to separate because fat and oil are less dense than water. This is why an overweight person has an easier time floating in the water than a very lean person because that fat tissue or the oil in their body is rising to the surface. It is less dense than the water. So what I'm doing here, as I put the chicken in the pot and as it cooks, all the oils and the fat from the chicken are coming out of the meat and mixing with the water and eventually rising to the surface. So this white junk that I'm scraping off the top is the fat in the chicken. Now, is this making it completely fat-free? Of course not. It's just reducing the fat content a little bit. Fat is not bad as long as you account for it in your macronutrients. So I'm not saying to avoid fat, but if you're trying to cut calories very, very specifically and you're dieting down for a competition and you have to use calories sparingly, this may be a good option for you. That's kind of how I came up with it, down to the nitty-gritty of contest prep. When you're trying to pull calories from anywhere you can, I kind of came up with this idea to reduce the fat in my chicken. How much does it reduce the fat? I don't know, but honestly, I can't cook my chicken and watch that white junk bubble up and not scrape it off. This is also why chicken soup has such a good taste. Chicken soup is basically this pot of boiling chicken, but without taking the fat out. So the fat is coming out of the chicken and giving the soup flavor. Of course, salt and other spices add to it, but that fat remains in the water and it gives it a nice flavor. Again, fat is not bad, but as mentioned before, it is the most caloric dense macronutrient. So if you want to reduce it, this is one way to do that. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.